Ever wished you could, like, fast forward and see how tech's going to totally reshape our lives?
It'd be amazing, right?
Well, that's what we're doing today. Kinda. We're diving into this report. It's by Roland Berger GmbH.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one.
It's called Should Europe Develop into a Token Economy? And they don't just, like, analyze stuff. They throw us right into 2030 with this fictional guy, Simon,
A fictional guy, huh?
living his, like, best tokenized life.
I do like their style, using a story to make this concept like actually feel real. Because
Yeah.
tokenization, if you really get down to it, it's all about these digital things representing assets, rights, all that.
Okay, so, like, not just Bitcoin going crazy on the markets, but how tokens could change how we interact with, well, everything.
Exactly. Think about a world where everything, paying for coffee, tracking a package, anything, is streamlined, automated, super secure, all thanks to tokens.
Okay, intrigued, but also maybe a little scared. Walk me through it. Starting with, let's say, Simon's morning. The report says he wakes up in a smart home that's all run by tokens. What does that even look like?
Okay, so picture this. Simon's smartwatch, it's got his digital ID token, right? It's already talking to his smart home. And get this, his virtual personal trainer, too.
Well, hold on. His virtual trainer.
Yeah, like a whole digital orchestra, making sure everything's personalized and just flows.
So his house knows he's up, adjusts the temperature, coffee's brewing. And is this where those micropayments come in that I've heard about?
You got it. While Simon was sleeping, the trainer got his sleep data, fitness stuff from the watch, put together a custom workout. And yeah, a teeny tiny payment for that, done automatically, tokens.
Hold it. He's paying for a workout he hasn't even started yet. I'm all for efficiency, but that's intense.
It does seem kind of wild at first, right? But think about what it could do. Like, such a seamless exchange of value, even for these tiny services, opens up all these personalized things we couldn't even think of before.
Okay, you've got a point. But can we move on to something a little more, I don't know, yummy? Breakfast. What's Simon's fridge doing in this tokenized world? Ordering donuts behind his back.
Huh. Not quite donuts. See, this isn't your grandma's fridge. It's hooked into this whole network. Got info on his diet, what he likes, the weather even, how much he's been exercising. Uses it all to suggest, healthy meals. And it can even automatically reorder groceries.
So, like, personal nutritionist and a grocery shopper in one. Okay, I am starting to see the appeal here. But what about privacy? Is this fridge gonna, like, broadcast Simon's weird cravings to the world?
Valid question. Don't forget, though, this whole system, it's built on individual control. Simon picks what he shares, sets his preferences. The fridge is just a tool, using that to make things easier, more personalized for him.
Right. Feeling a bit better about that. But Simon can't just stay home all day, can he? Even in 2030, got to get to work somehow.
Of course. But even the commute, it's totally different in token land. Simon's transport app looks at traffic, knows he likes eco-friendly stuff, suggests a carpool, and instead of a key, he gets a digital twin on his phone.
A digital twin? You mean like a virtual clone of the key? How is that even secure?
Not cloning, it's more like a unique digital representation. Super secure, encrypted token. It's what lets him into the car. And it's not just about security. It can do dynamic pricing, adjust insurance based on, real-time stuff.
So the price of the ride goes up if there's traffic, and his insurance changes depending on how he drives. That sounds kind of stressful.
Yeah, maybe at first glance. But remember, the whole point is transparency, efficiency. Dynamic pricing, it encourages people to use transport better, less congestion, maybe even cheaper. Insurance adjustments, they reward good driving, safer roads for everyone.
Okay, I see the logic, but I think I need a strong coffee before that commute. Speaking of work, the report says Simon's in logistics. How's tokenization shaking up that whole industry?
Imagine this. A global supply chain. But every single step, from raw materials to the final product, it's all tracked with tokens. Simon, he works for this textile company, can see exactly where the cotton for his shirt was grown, who made it, even what ship brought it across the ocean.
Wow. That's like transparency on a whole other level, but how does that actually work? Is it just like spreadsheets and databases on mega steroids?
Nah, it's about using blockchain. Every transaction, every piece of information, it gets recorded on the blockchain, can't be changed, can be audited, so you don't need those middlemen as much, fewer errors, and it builds trust between everyone.
So it's not just tracking stuff, it's tracking trust, like making sure everyone's accountable.
Exactly. And that trust, it goes to the money side too. Payments to suppliers, automatic, through smart contracts, no more waiting around, no more arguing.
Wow, this token system sounds like a dream come true for businesses. But what about Simon? Is he just another cog in the machine, or does he actually benefit from this too?
Well, I mean, besides all the obvious stuff, more efficient, maybe even makes more money, Simon gets this feeling of, like, security, control. Remember those security tokens we talked about?
The ones that give him, what was it, a mini ownership in the carpool company?
Right. That idea, it can go way beyond just cars. Simon could own little pieces of his apartment building, fractional shares, or local renewable energy projects, even art, all thanks to tokens.
So it's not just making things run better. It's about giving people more power, control over their own lives, even their communities.
Yeah, that's a big part of tokenization people don't always see. It could really open things up, access to stuff, opportunities that, most people couldn't even dream of before.
Okay, I'm seeing how this could really change things, but let's flip the script for a sec. The report talks about some roadblocks too, right?
Hmm?
What's stopping this, like, utopia from happening right now?
One word. Inertia. Lots of businesses, even individuals, they don't see why things need to change. They're comfy, if it ain't broke.
Don't fix it. Yeah, I know that tune. But they must see the potential, right? Like saving money, doing things fast.
Some do, sure, but there's also, like, a cultural thing. Europe, we're innovative, but we also kind of like to play it safe, especially with money.
We love our stability, our rules and regs. But doesn't all that caution sometimes, hold us back?
It's a tough one. On one hand, it's good, make sure new tech is checked out, done right. But then again, it can slow things down, make it hard for Europe to keep up with the rest of the world.
So it's all about balance, right?
Yeah.
Embracing the new stuff, but not throwing away everything we know.
Exactly. Finding that balance, that's key for tokenization to work in Europe. But it's not just how we feel about it, there's also practical stuff.
Like what? Hit me with the details.
Well, first off, people just don't get it. They mix up tokenization with cryptocurrencies, which, let's be honest, haven't always been, the best PR.
Yeah, all those stories about Bitcoin crashing, people losing everything,
Yeah.
enough to make anyone think twice.
Exactly. But tokenization, it's bigger than that. It's about blockchain, creating this whole system that's transparent, secure, efficient.
So we need, like, a crash course. Tokenization 101 for everyone.
Something like that. Demystify it, show people how it can actually help them. But even that's not enough. We need clear rules, regulations, something consistent across Europe.
The fun of getting 27 countries to agree on anything? But why is that such a big deal here?
Uncertainty scares off investors, right? If businesses don't know the rules, they're not going to invest in this stuff. Less innovation, harder for Europe to be a leader.
So we need a plan, something for all of Europe, flexible enough to let people try new things, but strong enough to keep people safe.
Exactly. Tough balance. And it's not just new laws, it's updating the old ones to work in this new world.
Okay, so we've got the cultural thing, the knowledge gap, and the regulatory maze. But someone must be doing something, right? Any signs of progress?
Absolutely. Remember those CBDCs, central bank digital currencies? The European Central Bank, they're really looking into a digital euro.
So we might actually be using digital euros sooner than we think. Now that's exciting.
It's definitely on the table. And even beyond that, there are companies, organizations all over Europe that are working on really cool uses for tokenization, supply chains, real estate, even healthcare.
So it's not just a fantasy, things are actually happening.
Exactly. It's gaining momentum. The question is, can Europe get over these hurdles and be a leader? Or will we fall behind?
The million-euro question. But before we get all geopolitical, let's talk about who's actually going to make this happen. The report mentions governments, central banks, businesses, and just regular people. How do they all fit into this?
It's like this big, complex puzzle. Every piece matters. Governments, obviously, they set the rules, right? That supportive framework we talked about. Got to find that sweet spot, innovation and protection.
So they're like the refs, making sure everyone plays fair.
Kinda, yeah. But they can also be, cheerleaders, promoting tokenization, education, pilot projects, funding research.
Okay, so governments set the stage. What about central banks? Besides those digital euros, what are they up to?
Yeah, CBDCs are a biggie, but they've got to make sure the whole financial system is stable, secure. That means dealing with all the twists and turns of tokenization.
So they're like the guardians of the financial galaxy, huh? Making sure everything runs smooth, even with all these new planets popping up.
Love that analogy. Then you've got corporations. They're the ones building this stuff, putting it into practice. They're taking this idea and making it real. solutions that help businesses and people.
So it's not just about the tech itself, it's about using it to make things better.
Exactly. And then last but not least, regular people, the users. They're the ones whose lives are going to change the most. If they don't use it, none of it matters.
So no matter how cool the tech is, if people don't buy in, it's a flop.
Exactly. People need to learn about it, feel good using it, and actually see the value. And that's the tricky part, because we're talking about trust, privacy, control, all that big stuff.
Okay, we've talked about the good stuff. Efficiency, transparency, more power for individuals. But let's be real. There's got to be a downside. What keeps the cybersecurity folks up at night?
That's the question, isn't it? And that's what we're going to dive into next. What could go wrong in this tokenized world? Data privacy, the digital divide, all that. Stay tuned.
Okay, so we've talked about all the good stuff that could come from a tokenized Europe, like smoother systems, people having more control, maybe even using digital euros. But let's be real, there's got to be some downsides, right?
Yeah.
What are the dark sides of this shiny future?
Well, one thing that people always bring up is data privacy. Tokenization, it needs a ton of data, your identity, your choices, all your transactions. If that data gets out, things could go really bad.
Like with great power.
Comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in this case, it's more like with awesome convenience comes a huge chance of data breaches.
Exactly. So we got to be careful, right? Who gets to see this data, what they can do with it, how it's protected.
Big time. Strong rules, cybersecurity, all that's crucial to keep things safe.
So it's not just about the cool tech. It's about making it ethical, secure, right from the start.
Absolutely. Another worry is this digital divide thing. Not everyone's a tech whiz, right? Some people might really struggle in a world where everything's run by tokens.
Like we've all seen those videos of grandparents trying to use a smartphone. Imagine that.
I know.
But for like everything in your life.
Exactly. We can't leave anyone behind. That means teaching people about digital stuff, making it easy to use, helping those who need it.
Accessibility, making sure everyone's included, that's key, right?
Yeah.
We don't want a system that only works for the tech elite.
Definitely. And then there's the big one. Control in this tokenized world. Who's really in charge? Governments. Big companies. Tech giants. Or, us, the people.
Like the digital Game of Thrones, everyone fighting for the throne?
Kinda, yeah. And how that all plays out, that's going to shape our whole society. Will this give people more power, or will it just make the powerful even more powerful?
That's a scary thought. We got to make sure this benefits everyone, not just a select few.
Couldn't agree more. It's on all of us. We got to talk about this stuff, the good and the bad, and actually do something to shape the future we want.
Okay, so what's the bottom line for our listeners? Should we all freak out and run away from this tokenized future? Or should we just jump in with both feet?
Neither, really. The key is to stay informed, stay involved, stay curious. Ask questions, don't just believe everything you hear, and demand that things are transparent. We get to decide what the future looks like.
Well said. I think it's about time we wrapped up this deep dive. We've explored what a tokenized Europe could look like in 2030, from that super smart fridge to all the questions about data and who's in control. Lots of potential, but definitely some things to think about.
It all comes down to the choices we make today.
So as you go about your day, your week, your life, keep thinking about this tokenized future. What are you excited about? What worries you? And the most important thing, what part do you want to play in making it happen?
Don't forget, the future isn't something that just happens. It's something we create.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those big questions. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of tokenization. Until next time, stay curious.